right, guys, welcome back to the Stormwater Creek
Welcome.
podcast. I feel like, Brandon, we did this
I know, it's just been me and you. Austin's been traveling around the world, and I think so is Jordan. So
Jordan's been, if you count Houston as the world,
Yeah.
yeah,
he's cultured. That's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. For Jordan, that is culture,
It's like Louisiana, essentially.
Exactly. Just East Louisiana, West Louisiana, I
Yeah.
guess, So, so the boys have been traveling like crazy. We've both been working. It's been ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the best part about that is that it's time. It's the season.
Yeah, you blink, and that was it was like 100 days away yesterday. Now it's
Yeah, I feel
16.
like we were just chasing turkeys, and now it's like, welcome.
Yeah, we were just talking to that lady about LBJ.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Now here we are.
Here we are. So we're joined by a real special guest, Greg Godfrey from Tethrd, and both Brandon and I have jumped hardcore into the saddle world. Seems like everybody I know is, or thinking about it, or talking about it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get to talk to Greg here for a while and answer all your saddle hunting questions. A couple things right from the very beginning. BHA, Full Draw Film Tour. It is coming out. If you're listening to this like the day it came out, which is going to be tomorrow, because I'm going to edit it today.
Oh man.
You can come up to Tailwaters if you're in Dallas and support us. There's events in Austin. There's public land cleanups coming up. There's all kinds of crazy stuff. Go follow us on Instagram or social media and see all the cool stuff the Texas chapter is doing to help support public lands. So, and then outside of that,
and if you can't make it, just go ahead and keep a plastic 55-gallon bag in your truck and clean up your local parking lot.
Take out more than you brought in.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Well, there's the PSA for public lands. Now on to the cool stuff. So Greg, we can't thank you enough for joining us, man. It's a pleasure to get to talk to you for sure.
Absolutely. Anytime I can take some time out and talk deer hunting, I'm happy to do it.
Most of the time I'm talking to a guest that I've seen very few times. Maybe I've seen a picture of them, but I've seen you on your YouTube channel and just all over. Just like you're like, I feel like this saddle thing is, I feel like you guys are the ones that kind of, maybe not like started it, but you guys definitely are bringing it as a household name. That's for sure. So how did the whole saddle thing start for you, and how did Tethrd come about, and what's that story?
Well, it's a great story. I am currently active duty Army. I'm on my way out of the military to do Tethrd full time, but as of today, I'm still full time active duty.
Oh wow!
And why that's important is because that's how I got started saddle hunting. I grew up in Pensacola, Florida, where we hunted, traditional tree stands, climbers, ladder stands, ground blinds, elevated box blinds, all that type of stuff. But it was all private land, and we pretty much had all of our stuff set at the beginning of the season, and we hunted those kind of same places over and over again. Every once in a while, we would take a climber and go somewhere new. But for the most part, we hunted the same places over corn feeders or over green fields until we filled our tags. And that's how I grew up hunting, like most people, I would think, or at least a fair number of people grew up hunting that way. Well, when I joined the Army, Uncle Sam took me to Fort Carson, Colorado as my first duty assignment, and I wasn't able to use those tactics anymore. I didn't have any private land. I didn't have any corn feeders. It was illegal. I didn't have green fields. I didn't know any farmers. So I had to figure out public land for really the first time in my life, other than just a few times in college hunting public land and a few times back home in Pensacola hunting public land, but that was the exception. But when I joined the Army, that became my new normal, and the tactics that I grew up using, it just didn't work anymore. Carrying that stupid climber up and down those mountains in Colorado, it didn't work. The trees were all crooked. I couldn't find trees that worked with the climber. I wasn't allowed to leave tree stands up in the trees. It was against the rules. So all of my tactics were null and void for the most part. And that's when I found saddle hunting. I discovered it on an online forum in 2009, and I got my first one. And there were some problems with it. It wasn't a perfect solution. It wasn't terribly comfortable. It was still kind of heavy and bulky. But for the most part, it solved my problems. I was able to carry it in and out with me, and it wasn't too much of a pain in the butt. And I was able to get in wonky trees, and I was able to hide behind the tree to conceal myself better from the deer. So overall, it was a pretty big success, and that kind of launched me into the saddle hunting world where I figured it out. And ever since then, I've gone down the DIY route of making my own saddles and hacking up other products and turning them into products that work for saddle hunting. And from 2009 until 2018, that's what we did, and that's how Tethrd was born. It was born out of the DIY community putting together the perfect saddle hunting gear, stuff that we couldn't find, the stuff that nobody was making because it was just such a small niche group of hunters that was using that tactic.
Yeah.
And so that's where it came from. It was a few of us that met online in chat in forums, and we forged a bond, and we turned into Tethrd, and it's done really, really well, and it's a super fun time. We kind of had no clue what it was going to be, and it turned into something really, really cool. So it's been a fun ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just amazed at the, just like how it's come on in the I mean, at least to me, it seems like it's really become a thing in the last 2 years, right? Where, I mean, obviously it's been around, like you said, since the 80s. People have been doing it for a long time, but I feel like it's like hit this mainstream, like almost hysteria, like with where it's at.
It happened when we launched Tethrd.
Yeah.
It happened when we launched Tethrd because you couldn't get this stuff, and nobody was. For all intents and purposes, it didn't exist.
Yeah.
I mean, you could make it if you wanted to go on Craigslist or eBay or some internet classified forum and buy an old tree stand and hack it up and make your saddle hunting platform. You could do that.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go and sew up some products that you found, cut up an old safety harness and sew up a saddle, you could do it.
Yeah.
There just wasn't any option.
There was no.
When we came up. That's right. Yeah, it was just very difficult to get into, and then it's like you said, it's been around since the.
And I definitely don't trust myself to sew something to hang off of a tree with, So I'm like,
right.
Right.
Yeah, and it's been around for a while, since the late 70s, the early 80s is when it kind of came onto the scene. But that was before social media, before YouTube, where the only way you could get these products in the hands of consumers was to get into a big box retail sporting goods store and sell it that way. Now, with YouTube and social media, you're able to come up with cool products and get them in the hands of consumers without having to do that. So
absolutely.
I think it was like we timed it right, where we had access to people and we could teach people about how cool of a product it is and how cool of a technique it is. And then a lot of things went right. We're not anything special. We're just normal dudes, just like you guys.
Sure.
We just had the right product at the right time, and we had the right team that got in on it and made it happen. We're really just a lucky American dream story. That's really what it is.
Well, I mean, it's just something that the better part of a year have just been kind of like, oh man, the amount of times I've gone onto your website and built like my whole platform out and been like, but then no, and now I pulled the trigger.
No, we had
I like to say, buy once, cry once.
Exactly.
Buy these things, and you don't ever have to do it again for the most part, because they'll last your life. Unless you lose it or somebody steals it, you pretty much never have to buy another one, which isn't really a great business model when you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the tree stand companies get to sell you a tree stand every year.
Yeah.
And you go back and you prep new spots. But you're only ever going to buy one Mammoth saddle, and then unless, like I said, you lose it or somebody steals it, you're going to have it forever.
Yeah, it's going to last.
So, so it's a little different, but yeah, you buy once, you cry once. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think it's just like and we're going to get into a lot of the strategy of how to use it and what it kind of opens up doors for you on any piece of land, anytime you're hunting. But I'm super excited about it.
good.
Yeah. There's just certain situations and setups this last year where I can particularly remember one. I was like, for one, it's way too thick, and you've probably run into this, Greg, especially where you're at. Just it's too thick to even put a tree stand that is, even if it's aluminum, but sticks out, 5-6 inches of view on each side, and it's catching everything, walking through. And then once you get to like a gnarly tree, trying to find part of a branch or try to get on the main trunk and expect to be comfortable in that position, let alone it be safe at all, was, it was comical. And I couldn't get up nearly as high as I wanted, but I already can tell you right now there's about 3 different setups this year that I can go back into that it'll be a lot lighter getting in there, quieter, and can set up higher. I mean, it's just, that's the thing about the saddle to me, is that it's not just like one pro about it, like, oh, it's kind of a little better. It's like, no, like there's about 10 things about it that's going to make it better for you to use it rather than a tree stand. So that's why, I'm extremely excited about using that this year.
I agree. There are not just a couple of pros. I mean, certainly there are cons too, and we can get into that as we move on. I mean, there's no such thing as the perfect system, right?
No doubt.
I mean, there will never be the one size fits all. This is the only thing you ever need to have to be the most efficient whitetail hunter. That just doesn't exist. But there are a lot of pros to the saddle hunting style or technique or tactic or whatever you want to call it that you just don't get with traditional tree stands. So it's when we can talk about those tonight, but there's just so many of them that if you keep an open mind and if a hunter is willing to try something new and get out of his comfort zone just a little bit, you'll discover that there's really a whole lot of reasons to jump to this method of hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, let's get into the fact, there's gonna be so many things we're gonna talk about. So I really like to hear what are the cons, right? I'm trying to think of, I've been racking my brain about what is not good, where would I not use this, and I mean I just can't. I mean, if I'm going to go mountain goat hunting, probably not, But what are some of the things that you guys hear? I mean, I'm sure you guys get tons of feedback that you're like, okay, that's these are some cons to the whole thing, and then let's get into the pros of the thing, because I think that's going to be the most amount of time.
I like it. We'll start with the bad stuff up front. That makes a lot of sense. So first of all, there's really a few that I like to point out to people. First of all is the learning curve. If I like to use the analogy of a caveman. If a caveman walked into the woods and he saw a tree stand on a tree with a ladder going up to it, it wouldn't take that much for him to figure out, okay, it looks like I can climb that thing and maybe sit on that thing, and then I could ambush game from an elevated position. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Now, if a caveman walked in the woods and saw a saddle sitting there, he'd be like, what in the crap? He'd have no clue. It's not very intuitive. So there's a learning curve to it. You have to learn to work with geometry and the physics of it. It's not to say that it's hard, but there's a learning curve that maybe doesn't exist quite as much with a traditional tree stand. And it takes some time to get used to it. Hanging from a rope and being supported by a harness is a lot different than sitting on a metal seat. So there's a comfort learning curve. I like to call that getting in saddle shape, where it just kind of takes a while for your body. For some people, not everyone.
Sure.
For some people, it takes a few months. It takes half a season for you to get used to hanging, as opposed to sitting on a metal seat. So that's a major con, the learning curve and figuring out how to get comfortable with it. Another con is that you can't just go into any big box sporting goods store in America and buy one like you can a tree stand. You can't just go to your buddy's house that is a hunter and borrow his tree stand and learn how to figure it out, or have someone show you how to do it. That's a major con. I mean, because like you said, you're looking at this, and it can take a couple $100, anywhere up to $400, $500, $600, depending on how much you want to spend to get into it. So it can be daunting for somebody to buy that just to try it, to figure out, hey, what will I even like this? So that's a major con too. That it's not easily accessible. It's not easy to figure out if you're going to like it. It's not easy to try it. And then there's also the the learning curve that goes along with it. Now, from a tactical standpoint, as far as after you've gotten through those things, there's not a lot of cons, in my opinion, once you're hunting. Now, certain trees would work better for a traditional tree stand. I'm thinking like a heavy limbed tree, like a big cedar tree or something like that. That probably would be more well suited to a tree stand, a traditional hang-on tree stand. But other than that, man, there's just not a lot.
Yeah. I was going to say, and I would think even on the cedar, the biggest thing would just be the fact that you don't really have the ability to move around the trunk, which is kind of you got to do that, right? I mean,
Right.
You're facing the tree as opposed to facing away from the tree, and so
exactly. So in a traditional tree stand, you'd carve out your little island of branches in that tree, and then you would sit with your back against it and look out. Well, if you did the same thing in a saddle, your only shot would be behind you, so you'd have a hard time seeing that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend that situation for a saddle hunter. But I can't really think of many other ones where it wouldn't be beneficial to have a saddle.
Yeah. Do you think just like one of the things that and with just a very scratch of the surface amount of doing and looking around on YouTube and just reading about it, I quickly overcame this. But the first thing I saw when I saw it, I was like, I feel like I'm just going to fall. I would feel like I would fall out of it, right? Like I was just, like it's like I'm kind of just sitting in a rope almost. But do you get a lot of that? And like how often do people kind of, I mean, what I've heard is you feel that way until you get in it the first time, and then you're like, oh, I'm not going anywhere,
Yeah, I mean, it's like the guys. This is really based on the ideas from the mountain climbing community, right? So we use a lot of mountain climbing components in our system. Those guys are hanging off Everest. They're hanging off El Capitan.
Yeah.
They're climbing big giant mountains where they have. Where it's a lot more dangerous than
a lot of angles,
doing.
yeah.
Right, and if you can be safe and confident on the side of a cliff in a mountain, a rock climbing harness, that's the same type of thing that you're doing in a tree. Just
you'll be fine at 15, 20 feet.
Exactly,
Yeah.
It's a lot less intimidating, but it's a fair. It's a fair assessment of what some people think when they see it. They say, oh, there's no way that's safe. There's no way that's comfortable.
Yeah.
But in reality, when talking about safety, it's the difference in if you're in a tree stand, hopefully you have your safety harness on. I mean, how many guys do you know that hunt out of a tree stand that don't wear a safety harness?
Oh, yeah.
Tons.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
Or you're at the trailhead at, dark 30, walking to your stand, you get halfway down the trail, you forgot your safety harness in the truck, and it's like, oh man, if I go back and get it, then it's going to be daylight, the deer are going to be there, I'm going to ruin my hunt. I'll be fine just this once,
Yeah.
And that's when the accident's going to happen. But with a saddle setup, if you forget it at the trunk, you're hunting on the ground, bro. I mean,
exactly.
There's no way to do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're tied to the tree the whole time. It's when properly set up and used, you can't fall out of the thing. And then if you compare that to a tree stand safety harness again, if you're using the safety harness and you're using it properly, well, now you've fallen and hopefully that tree stand catches your fall. Now you got to deal with self-rescue, right? There have been many, I forget the term, but it's basically injuries from suspension trauma. That's what it's called. From hanging there in the harness. Maybe the person couldn't pull themselves back up on their tree stand. They couldn't do a pull-up to get up there, or they couldn't make their climbing method,
or they had the rope too long, or that's just like one of those things that you're
right.
Whew.
So hopefully that I'm giving an extreme example here. Most likely you wouldn't have any serious injuries if the tree stand safety harness saved you. But in a saddle, you're never going to fall in the first place because you're tied in, and when you're using it properly, the worst thing that could happen is if you slipped or something, you would just swing into the tree.
Yeah, exactly. You rack yourself.
Yeah.
Like, oh, God.
Yeah, and I've done it. Right. I've done it.
I feel like everybody is going to do that.
Climbing. Yeah. I've hit my face on the tree. I slipped off. I was climbing a tree with climbing spikes, and I slipped, and I swung into the tree and smacked my nose and gave myself a nice little cut on my nose. But, I mean, that's the worst thing that could really happen.
I mean, yeah. Not to mention, you're not just like hanging there. Like, that's a terrifying. Like, every time I'm in a tree stand, I think about it. Like, it's like a constant thing too. Like, especially like I'm an all day sit, and like I said, I'm been predominantly always done tree stands, and so I think about it all the time. Like, I'll stand up and I'll move around, and that what do you call it? The thing that connects you to the top of the tree, the tether, essentially. I turn around and it's around, and I'm like, this is the time it's going to fall, and I'm going to hang myself. And it's just like, it's like constantly a constant thought. And so when you're already kind of just hanging there, you're like, oh, okay, I'm not going anywhere.
It's
like
almost a psychological thing. Like, the tree stand faces out and you're looking down at the ground. But something about looking at the tree trunk, it's like, I could grab the trunk if I had to.
Yeah, it gives you that safety thing.
It's not even, like, worth mentioning because you're not going anywhere at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's even the psychological factors are pros.
Because I feel like you said, but there is something about that. Like, when I first get into the tree stand, what I'm doing is I'm facing the tree.
Yeah.
I'm not, I'm facing the tree. Like, just kind of, I always have to try to, like, it's like a sea legs almost. You have to get yourself, like, okay on the top of that stand, and then it's okay. Now I can turn around.
And who hasn't used a climber and not had like the 5-inch little drop from the bottom platform, and they kind of die for a second?
Yeah, that is super scary.
You hate that.
So one of the things you talked about, and I really wanted to know about this, is you kind of talked as one of the things is saddle shape. What besides what can somebody do to kind of get ready for the season and be in kind of quote better saddle shape, or how would somebody overcome that pretty quickly?
The best thing to do is to shoot your bow from your saddle in your backyard, if you can. If you have a tree or something in your backyard, and you don't even have to get high, just 6 inches off the ground where you're in the saddle and you're practicing shooting from the saddle, that is the best thing to do. It doesn't take all that much time, but you don't want your first few sits to be during the season when you're trying to figure it out. You want to figure that out in your backyard, on the low to the ground in a low threat environment. But really, to get into saddle shape, I always like to make it sound worse than it is, because I don't want for people to get it and not have it in their head that there's going to be a learning curve. I don't want people to get it and just think, oh, I can just grab this and just run out and go hunting, which some people can. When we were getting it all ready last year and we started shipping our first saddles, my brother was headed to Kentucky to hunt. He wanted to take one, and so I sent him one, and I said, okay, Bobby, when you get this, make sure you go in the backyard and you test it and you shoot out of it, and get used to it before you just go out and start hunting. Well, of course, he didn't do that. He just threw it in his pack and drove to Kentucky, and the very first hunt, he goes out and he ties into his tether and he's hunting. Then he called me like on the second or third day, and he's like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. This thing is awesome. It's been comfortable since day one.
It seems like there's a healthy amount of people, just like when in my research of just like going online, there's a ton of people who are like, it's exactly the same story. They just go out there and they're like, okay, I've watched a video, just kind of like, here's where this connects, here's about where the tether should be, here's, and so they're ready to go, and they get in the thing, and it's not, I mean, you've already got yours, right, Brandon? And I mean, when you first got yours, it was no big.
Yeah. No, I did in the backyard, and I know Greg probably hears this a million times, but you've got to buy the Ropeman one. You got to get rid of your Prusik knot. I know it works, but my God, like if you ever wanted one-hand operation and just ease, I was like, it's a no-brainer.
It's a game changer. I mean, that term gets thrown around a lot, but the Ropeman one truly is a game changer.
Yeah, and so for anybody who's like, what is a Ropeman one? It's what it is it's a rock climbing ascender, and it's a one. So instead of the Prusik knot that you kind of have to like constantly like get yourself into some cockeyed position where you can like slide it to get to either lengthen or shorten your
call it your tether or your lineman's belt.
Yeah, it just allows you to just pull the rope right through this thing, and then it locks the rope in so you can't move. So, and they're
right. there's nothing. You said it. There's nothing wrong with a Prusik loop from a utility perspective. I
No.
mean, the Prusik loop has been around for decades, and it's trusted. It works. It will keep you safe, but it's a pain in the butt
Yeah.
to adjust when you have it weighted. The Ropeman one, it's a mechanical Prusik essentially, or an ascender in the mountain climbing world, and that's one of those things that we borrowed from the mountain climbing world. We're looking at this gear and like, man, this thing works for people climbing Mount Everest. Yeah, it'll work in a tree.
I think it'll get me. Yeah.
Above the ground, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing it's awesome, and it's a total game changer.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of what the whole saddle hunting community is about. Like, you on saddlehunter.com, it's like everyone wants to know how are you being more pack efficient and lighter, and how can I get faster in the tree for with the smallest changes. And that's one of those things that's probably weighs an ounce, but it just
Gives
totally
you
changes the
mile
world.
of help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so saddle shape, like you said, I think it's, just in what I've seen, it seems to be like just get in the thing and like anything else, right? You're not going to you're not going to get a bow and go, I'm going to try bow hunting, and then go bow hunt the very first time you ever pull the thing back, and try to kill an animal with it. It's the same thing,
It's exactly the same thing. And if you went and you bought a Summit climber, the top end Mac Daddy, best of the best Summit climbers, well, the first time you used it, it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. It's going to make all kind of noise. You're going to have the cables messed up. You're not going to put the seat on properly.
Yeah.
You're going to make a ton of noise climbing the tree, shaving all that bark. It's just going to be a disaster. It's I don't care who you are. That's how it's going to go. And after you've used it 4 or 5 times, well, now you're getting to be where you can do it quietly. You know where to put the pins. You know how the cables work. You know how to attach the seat. After you've gotten a few reps under your belt, well, now all of a sudden it's going to work, and you're going to be just fine. It's no different in a saddle. After you work out your system, it's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I'd say I'm so excited about it. It's like I feel like it's going to be such a for us to be public land hunters, I feel like I'm just throwing different strategies at this thing every year, and every time I go out, I'm trying to do something a little different. And I've got some tactics, obviously, like just reading sign and things like that. But just we're changing it up. Like last year, it was like crazy amount of scouting. Right, I just scouted. Like the last 2 years really have been like that. And then this year, I was just like, you know what? I've got my spots picked out. I know where deer move. I know how they use that property. I'm gonna stay out of there. I'm gonna hunt places that are close to the parking lot. I'm gonna just switch it up and see what happens, And so, we were talking about this earlier, Brandon, about just
about being more versatile. And it's just being preached way more online now too. And I was like this when I was a much younger hunter, where you just have your tree stands. It's like that's where the deer are. If I sit anywhere else here, it's a waste of time because I don't see deer in those areas.
Yeah.
Though I've never sat there, how would I know? But now you can know because, I know. A lot of people do it like this. Some people put it in their backpack, I know, and they travel with it to their hunting spots, but just keeping it on your waist and walking around. Literally just walking around and being like, I like the tree. That tree looks like it might work.
Up.
Get in there.
Well, I think that's a good point. In the last, 3 to 5 years, there's been a big push in the hunting world towards this mobile hunting, this get outside of the norm type of hunt where, like you just mentioned, Brandon, where most people they're used to sitting in that same tree stand, that same box blind, they sit on the same green field, they hunt the same feeders, just like I did when I grew up hunting in Pensacola. That's exactly how we did it. We'd hunt the same places, and, we'd see the same deer over and over again. And I think in the last few years, there's been this push to get hunters out of their comfort zone a little bit and say, hey, don't hunt those same spots over and over again. Try new ground. Go find new places. Go deep into that swamp that you always stay out of. Go figure out these places that hold deer, and don't be afraid to try new things. And I think that's the ethos or the tactic that has really kind of helped saddle hunting grow legs, because it's such a mobile-friendly way to hunt that when people start hunting mobile, and they go, wait a minute, I don't want to lug this stupid tree stand, 2.5 miles away from the trail, that thick brush and over that swamp that I got to cross. So, man, there's got to be a lighter way. So that's when I think a lot of people find it, and it makes sense.
Yeah, I remember back in like maybe 2014 or 15, I was like moaning it, like just so like I could not find a tree stand under or a climber under like 15 pounds. I saw the X stand, those.
Yep.
It was like I think it's like 13.5 pounds or something, and it's got real like here and there reviews on it, like not awesome, and that was about the best I could do back in those days. And then shoot, last year I shot that 140 something off of that public piece out of and it was the loudest climb, like you said, Greg, the loudest climb I've ever had in a tree stand. I don't know how I shot that deer, how he didn't hear me, because he still came out with plenty of daylight left way before dark, and so he wasn't bedded far from me, but somehow that worked out. But you talk to people like the Jeff Sturgises and the THP and like Hunting Beast. It's all about quiet, getting on top of them, especially early season when they have no reason to move very far.
Yep.
Using a system like this, just probably one of the bigger pros, I would say, out of all of them. Much less the comfort and safety, getting close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you eliminate virtually all of the big, heavy metal
clinging.
things. I mean, if you use the Predator platform, you're going to have induce a little bit of metal into your system, but even then, you're talking 3 pounds of metal versus 15 or 20 pounds of metal.
And it's so like compact. It sits. I mean, it's not going to sit outside of your back, really. I mean, or it's not going to sit outside of your backpack for sure. Even if you're a small guy.
Yeah, and then we came out with things this season called the Versa straps, where you can eliminate even the big heavy cam buckles that everybody and their brother uses. So there's just ways that you can be more efficient and quieter and lighter if you're willing to invest a little bit of mental energy into figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a reason stealth strips is so popular.
Yeah.
Now, saddle hunting will, make them think twice about their business. You got to come up with new things to sell, because now metal's not going to be a thing, or aluminum. Loud aluminum's not a thing.
You still got to do it on your sticks, though, right?
Yeah, you still got to put your sticks in stealth strips so they're safe.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. We had a guy on the podcast who's been a saddle hunter for a long time, and he was like, where he's like, I can hunt with everything inside, like just one of those little, like a little sack, like a tiny little thing.
Oh yeah, he was using the method of like he would pre-drill holes in the tree and put bolts in them
and go up that way where he can. Yeah.
Who was it?
His name is Ike Texas. Eichmann, Texas.
Yeah.
Isaac.
I know Isaac.
Yeah.
Isaac Barnett.
Yeah, Isaac Barnett. That's exactly right. He
came to a hunt that I put on. I put on a hunt every year. Well, for the past few years, a pig hunt in Georgia, and he drove over from Texas and attended the hunt.
Is that like SaddleCon or something like that?
Saddlepalooza.
Saddlepalooza. That's right.
Yeah.
Everything's con now. So.
Don't put it on the lights of Comic-Con, man. What are you doing?
But he was telling us about that, and just to see his setup. I mean, I think that's one of the things. Like,
that's what got me to buy mine.
It's absolutely what did it for me as well. Is just the fact that you see it on TV and you're like, you see it on YouTube or on, so like you said, social media. But like for him to bring it all over to the house, and for us to see and like actually hold that Predator platform and see like, holy crap, man, this thing is awesome. Like how just like compact. I'm like, man, the amount, because last year Brandon and I went on a hunt. I lugged like a 30 pounds worth of stands back like a mile. And it was just, he's like, oh, man.
Real bad for him.
He was like, that sucks, bro. Mine's already back, So,
it does. It sucks big time. And it goes back to those cons that we talked about at the beginning, right? So if every time we go to a trade show or we go to an event and we show people, and you'll see those hunters that stand back away from the crowd, and they've got their arms crossed, and they've got a scowl on their face, and they're looking at it, just running through their brain is every reason why it sucks.
Yeah.
That's not safe. Oh, that's not comfortable. What do you do with your feet? There's no way you can shoot from that thing. You can see it on their face.
Yeah.
And then eventually they get a little closer, and then they start asking questions like, that can't be safe. How do you shoot from that thing? And then you say, hey, man, why don't you just try it?
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's one. Just step up to the tree and try it. And then they try it, and they spend 5 minutes sitting in it and moving around on it and imagining how they could shoot their bow from it. And they always change their mind. And they don't always say they're going to get one, but you can see the light bulb go off in their head. And my guess is that they go back and they start watching a crap load of YouTube videos and start searching online, and they probably end up getting one because they realize once they try it that there's really some merit to this idea. It's not just pixie dust and hocus pocus. It's a real advantage to the system.
So what's the smallest tree you've ever basically sat in?
I don't know. Maybe, I've sat in trees that moved every time I moved.
Yeah.
That didn't seem real smart because I felt like I was giving my position away. But there was a guy a few years back that sent us a picture. This was before Tethrd was a thing. But where he needed to be in this swamp, there was no solid trees. So he climbed up about 10 feet high and grabbed 3 or 4 saplings and pulled them together and hunted right there. It was just enough to hold his weight.
So, you think something at the size of a Coke can? Probably.
Yeah, he probably had like 3 or 4 Coke can sized trees.
Wow.
That he kind of pulled together and put his tether there. I think he's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, that's.
But you couldn't do that with a tree stand.
No, exactly. That's the thing. And there's a scenario that happened to me last year that was just that exact thing. I had kind of narrowed down to a spot, and I needed to be in position to kill a deer. I needed to move to a specific tree. I needed to move to a specific area with only one tree that was at all feasible if I squinted and was like, all right, well, I'm just going to try. And I couldn't, I couldn't get the tree stand in it. And so it was like, man, I'm just going to have to hope that he takes a left instead of goes straight. And it 100% would have been able to get that saddle in there. And so it's man, I'm super excited about this year and the prospect of using this thing and kind of just the world of opportunity. I feel like it opens up for me to not be like, man, this is going to suck carrying this thing back there and then back out. And, to be able to, like you said, stick it in your pack or just keep it on is super intriguing to me. So.
Well, I wear mine in. I don't ever pack it in. I know lots of guys that do pack it in, but I like the idea of showing up to my tree and being up the tree as quickly as possible. I don't like to spend a lot of time at the ground. I want to get up and get hunting. Honestly, when you wear it around your hips, you don't even know it's there. And that's not a sales pitch. You do not know it's there. It's got a built-in belt and leg straps. You put it on, when you put it on correctly and tuck everything in tight, you don't know it's there. And so now all of a sudden, your 20-pound or 15-pound tree stand, it's virtually gone. You don't have any of that weight because you're wearing a 1-pound saddle around your hips, and all you've got is a few ropes and then whatever it takes to climb the tree. So I know guys that went from 20, 30-pound packs down to 7, 8, 9-pound packs. It's a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight, to cut. So a couple things as far as, so one of the things that I've been now that I've got mine and I'm waiting I can't wait. Right. One of the things that keeps going through my brain is what do people do with their backpack? I feel like where's it going to go that it's out of my way so I have the entire tree? Where are a lot of guys putting it so that it's kind of tucked out of the way but still accessible?
So if you think of the tree and the clock, right, and the 12 o'clock is the back side of the tree, I put my pack at about 2 o'clock.
Okay.
depending on the tree. Now, if I have the perfect tree, which is a tree that branches or has multiple trunks that I can get in, I'll just put my pack on a different trunk. But if you're just in a one trunk tree, I put it about 2 o'clock, and then I put my bow. I'm a right-handed shooter, so I put my bow at about 9 o'clock, at about shoulder height, where the grip is. So that way, when the deer does come, I just, as little movement as possible. That bow is right there on the side of the tree, and I can just reach up and grab it easily.
Yeah.
Abe is currently holding a fake bow back and imagining what that would be like. So.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so when you're facing the tree, put the bow on. If you're a right-handed shooter, you put your bow at about 9 o'clock, and then put your pack kind of on the backside-ish from the tree at about 2 o'clock. And it also depends on what style of hanging system you use. Now, if you screw in bow holders, if that's legal in your area, well, then it's really easy because you can just put them wherever you want.
Yeah.
If it's not legal to screw things into the tree, well, you can make your own gear hanger, or you can pick up the HIS strap, the HYS strap from Tethrd, and that's a daisy chain style public land legal hanging method. We built that off of a DIY solution I've been hunting from for years, and I've made a bunch of them for people over the years just that asked for them, and we turned that into a product, and it's awesome. You put that on above your tether, you just strap it to the tree, and then you can put your pack, the bow, your drum call, your rangefinder. You can hang everything from it right there in front of your tree, or in front of you on the tree, and it's really, really nice product.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm so pumped about getting going after it, and we've got it's like all of our friends have moved over to this. All of our serious deer hunter friends are like, mine's already here, mine's here. It's exciting. Brandon,
Yeah.
I mean, what's your take on that? You've got yours now, and I mean, what is your 2 cents on the whole deal?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like a whole process. First, you kind of watch a couple videos on it, and I think I already listened to Isaac talk about it, sold me on it. But there's a video out there called like the Sam Potter climbing method, where a guy takes like a 2x1 or something, and he drills holes through it, and he basically puts a rope through it, and he basically uses his tether or he doesn't use his tether. He used like a sit drag. It's kind of homemade DIY system, but he was climbing a tree like it's a climber. And I was like, oh, that's a way. And I actually made one of those, and I was like, maybe that'd be right in a certain situation, but I still like the climbing stick. So it's like, but like you said, I mean, then you can go online and you can see on G2 Outdoors, Greg's channel, that, you can see, as much as he wants to sell Tethrd, you can tell he's also just selling saddle hunting in general. He's willing to help out anyone if you want to make one, he's going to tell you how to make one. If you want to modify things, he's going to tell you how to do it. It's like saddlehunter.com putting videos. Which is super helpful for anyone that's got a squirrel IQ like me that can't sit there and read all day at work, and you just want to watch videos and listen to someone talk about it.
Yeah.
And I love all that. And I guess we've just spouted a lot of stuff that we're gonna try different this year. But what are you gonna do, Greg, this year? Maybe it's saddle related, maybe it's just a hunting tactic related. What are you gonna take to the woods this year? Do you think that's gonna make you more successful?
Well, what I'm super excited about is that I'm going to get to hunt a lot. The last 2 years, like I said, I was active duty Army, and I didn't get to hunt nearly as much as I would have liked. I didn't get to take a trip out of state or anything, just because it just didn't work out for me. But this year, I'm so blessed and fortunate that I'm able to do Tethrd full time now, and so I'm doing it right, man. I'm hunting in Michigan. I'm hunting in Illinois. I'm hunting in Missouri. I'm hunting in D.C. I'm hunting in the Atlanta suburbs.
Wow.
I'm hunting in Montana. I'm going all over the place. So I cannot wait. We've got a whole bunch of prototypes that we're testing out, different gear, different stuff that we've been kind of working on in the background. And so I'm going to get to play with all that stuff. I'm super, super excited about that. But I guess I don't know that I'm going to do that much differently.
Sounds like just time in the tree is going to make you successful.
I think so. I mean, you don't have to be a great hunter if you're hunting in Missouri, Montana, and Illinois, right? I mean,
and you're doing it a lot.
They just walk up and die and make their trees because they can't really help it.
That's what I'm waiting for, is that deer that likes to, he's just like, I want to commit suicide, man.
He just pulls that foot forward.
Yeah, he's like, right here, brother. Stand it quick.
It's all over.
Is this the Hulk Hogan deer?
Yeah.
Right here, brother.
The other cool thing is going to be that I'm going to get to learn a lot from the people that I'm going to be able to share camp with this year. I'm going to get to hang out with John Eberhardt and Dan Infalt and the THP guys. We're doing a hunt in Michigan this year. So
did you see that?
I'm gonna get to learn a ton from guys that I read their books, I watch their videos, I've learned so much from John Eberhardt and Dan Infalt, and I'm gonna get to hang out with them and pick their brains a little bit. So
100%.
You better believe I'm gonna take advantage of that and learn every little bit that I can.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what I think, it's early or mid October, like around the 8th or so. You guys are doing that?
What's
hunt? That hunt with all those guys?
Yeah, it's the first part of October.
Okay.
I'm not sure of the exact dates yet, but it's the second week of October or first week of October, something like that.
Did you see that deer they killed? They just dropped the video last night at 10 yards.
I saw that they dropped the video, but I saw a picture. I had a picture texted to me, but I haven't seen the video yet. I got to see it.
It's an awesome. It's very cool. I was one of those videos you get up like most of the time I watch a ton of hunting videos, obviously, and so some of them are cool. Some of them I'm like, and then others, like, you get up and you're like, oh my god, and was definitely one of those videos last night that they dropped. Yeah, it's really cool. So if you haven't seen it already.
Did you see Garrett's, the DIY Sportsman's North Dakota hunt?
I did.
Oh,
yeah. He
got a great, what is it, an 8-pointer, I think.
Yeah. They had
an awesome hunt.
Once again, another one that you're like, oh my god. That was cool. I mean, that was a cool. Garrett is awesome. Those two are probably my favorite two channels. Just like straight deer hunting wise. They're they're the hunting public is, man, they're awesome. I'm big fans.
I would say,
good dudes, man, and they are, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
They're 100% just normal people like us, right? They're just normal dudes who just decided that they were gonna make the best hunting content in the world, and they've done it. And they are so much fun to watch, and I support those guys. I love them. I think they're awesome. I watch everything they put out. So
you were there not too long ago, weren't you?
Yeah, we got lucky. We were able to go up there and hang out with them for a little bit, and show them kind of some tips and tricks for saddle hunting. And the good dudes, man. Can't beat them. They're awesome.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite way to you get one piece of wild game meat to eat for the rest of your life. What are you picking? And how do you like to eat it? What's your favorite way to cook it? Moose?
My dad, he killed a couple of moose when I was, I don't know, high school maybe. And, man, he brought all that meat back, and it was just some of the best meat I've ever had.
Wow.
Very tender, not really gamey. Elk is also another good one. Whitetail deer, it's good. I eat a lot of it, but it's not the same caliber as like an elk or a moose or something like that. But I like it a lot of ways. Of course, I've really gotten into eating wood ducks too.
Oh yeah.
Wood duck meat is delicious. You just fry it up in olive oil like 2 hours after you killed it. Oh my god, it's amazing. But yeah, if I had to pick anything, I think I'd pick moose, and you can't beat it on a grill, man.
Absolutely. I haven't ever had moose. I'd like to try moose. Brandon, when are you gonna go?
When am I gonna go moose hunting? Come on.
When are you gonna go moose hunting?
I'm like the unmarried, like, single guy that can do everything in the group, they think. So just because I go to Arizona to attempt a mule deer hunt once, now I guess I'm expected to go to Manitoba.
Yeah, you need to go. When's that happen, buddy?
Yeah, I guess. Let me look at that bank account real quick. Oh,
nah, man, you got your entire life to dig out of that hole. So
Don't worry about that credit
Don't
card
worry about
thing
it,
those
man.
people have been telling you about all your life, man.
Yeah,
Just
no.
get up there. You only live one time.
YOLO, man. Isn't that what
once
you
get
kids
married,
say?
You can't do it anymore.
See what have I been telling you, Brandon?
I know. We're in a group chat, Greg.
Yeah.
All I ever get told is how
Oh
it's
God.
the bane of existence.
We're all-
Your wife doesn't listen to this, does she? Abe?
No. Oh God, no.
Oh God.
She didn't even listen to the episode she was on. So.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, no, we constantly have to remind Brandon that, hey man, if I was you, dude, don't ever grow up. Oh, so
Yeah, that's why I'm taking my rutcation. I do it every year the last several years, I guess, since I've gotten out of college. I take like a week off work, so it's like 9 days front to back, but it's just full straight deer hunting. This year it's from November 9th through the 16th, and it's just a full, and I'll actually get your take on it, Greg, since we're all pretty big deer hunters here. That week in November is like mostly a full moon. Like the 9th is like it's an 85% moon going up to a full moon, and by the time I leave it'll be like an 85% moon going toward a new moon. So I don't know, my tactic is almost just like get in at 10 o'clock most mornings and just try to sit all day for as many days in a row as I can at different spots, but it almost seems like a waste of time. Like it always seems like always such a waste of time when you can walk to the tree stand without a headlight because it's so bright in the woods, and you just feel like when the sun comes up, you're like, why would a deer be here for many more hours? Like they clearly just got off their feet, they're back at their beds. So I don't know. I'm interested in what y'all think about what that week holds. It's a very good week around the Midwest and probably Texas too.
Well, I put absolutely zero stock in moon phase now, and here's why. I have listened to a lot of podcasts about the science of deer movement, and consistently, when the scientists study it and they radio collar deer, all over the country, some big studies, some small studies, some pin deer, some wild deer, all over the country, almost always the scientists come to the conclusion that the moon has no discernible impact on deer movement. So I just gotten to the point where if the only thing that stops me from going hunting is if I just can't do it. If I've got the kid's got a game or the wife needs me to do something or work is in the way. But if I can go, I'm going to go, and I'm not going to pay attention to the moon phase. The one study that I listened to, podcast, I don't remember what podcast it was, but it was a dude from Alabama, and he had like 20 years of cataloged hunts from an outfitter in Alabama.
Oh wow!
And they took the data from everything. It was like wind speed, wind direction, temperature, moon phase, like time of the every single variable. And when they did the math over 20 years of when hunters saw deer and killed deer, the number one, really the only predictor was a significant temperature change. And I think it was like the best day to hunt was a day after a significant temperature change with a mild to moderate wind, so a little bit of wind, and it was fairly clear. But other than that, it was like a free for all, crapshoot. Right. They looked at all the data and they couldn't really make heads or tails out of anything that would help them, other than just, man, when the temperature changes and you get a big drop in temperature, you need to go hunting, because that was a predictor of deer movement.
Yeah. I mean, and it's I think there's so many things, and it's like anything else. You could walk down this like rabbit trail. I'm sure there's people who are just like, "Oh my God, that is so wrong," and it's like, no, it's not. It's just like these little things. Like being in the woods is how you kill deer. Hunting sign of where you see deer movement is how you kill deer. I just always like Dan Infelt, like that dude. I have so much respect for, because I just like his whole attitude is about. It's not like why are you trying to church this up? It's not. Like, it's not so, it's like, don't make it into something that it's not. Just go find where their deer at, and you're going to, like, that's the battle. Once you do that
Right.
and you hunt enough, you're going to kill deer. And so I think it's the same thing with this whole scent thing. You have people who are like, "Oh my God, you've got to wear scent lock," or "Oh my God, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is play the wind." And then you've got dudes. I'm listening to a forum. I'm watching guys go, "How many times have you killed a deer while smoking a cigarette out of a tree stand?" And the amount of dudes are like, "I do it every year." And I'm like, okay, so what does that mean, right? So you're like,
Right.
people smoking cigarettes. That's a foreign substance if you've ever found one, that is going to give some scent away. And so I just think it's the biggest thing to me is just go out, find the sign, find where the deer movement is, and hunt it. And you're probably going to have some success,
And I'm not even saying that the moon doesn't have anything to do with it. It could. I'm very open-minded. Like, it could have a major impact on deer movement. My position is that people a lot smarter than me haven't figured out how to say that versus the moon affects deer movement. So I'm just going to go with what they say until somebody says otherwise, and then I'll be like, oh, okay, that's cool. I was wrong. I should have been playing the moon the whole time.
Yeah,
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
What I was really trying to do
Yeah.
there, Abe, was for Greg to tell me it was okay to sleep until 8 a.m. every morning.
Oh,
I
see,
was hunting, so.
Kid, what are you doing?
Sorry.
So
the way it would work is that you'd sleep until 10. You'd walk out there at 11 o'clock, and old mossy horns would come by at 11:05.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, man, this is easy.
Yeah, this is. I don't understand why people make such a big deal out of this. If you think about it, too, like the full moon, we got a pretty full moon tonight, and it's just as bright for predators to go find animals than it is for deer to go wander around as well. So,
right.
To me, that's one of those things, right? Like, why?
It's good for them. It's good for everything.
It's good for it doesn't just serve the deer. It's if I'm a wolf or a coyote or a mountain lion or a bobcat, I got the same amount of chance of killing, if not better, same thing. So,
yeah, and I think also that time of year, early mid-November, they're on their feet 24/7. There's a reason they lose 25% of their body weight in the ruts because they're not moving. They're not stopping.
Yeah, they're gonna breed. There's no two ways about it. Every doe is gonna get bred. It's just a matter of are you gonna get lucky and get some cold weather that gets them up on their feet during the daylight?
Yeah.
That's really what you're hoping for. Those bucks are gonna be out. It's just a matter of are they doing most of it at night, or are they gonna do some of it during the daytime too?
Yeah.
You can definitely tell a direct correlation. I am never sick during the year, but man, come October, every single time the temperature drops, Abe gets a little sick. This cold front's got me all messed up. I'm gonna have to take a day.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
You gotta use your sick days. Else if you don't use them, it's like taking a pay cut.
It's exactly right. It's just I'm just like, hey, I'm sick today. I will. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay off of Facebook.
Yeah. How far do you live from the public land you hunt typically, Greg?
Oh man, I've got it made here in Georgia. I've got there's a piece of public land literally right behind my house. I can be hunting in 5 minutes.
Oh,
Last year, it's right there. Last year I was in a lease as well because I just wasn't able to hunt very much, and so what I wanted to do was prep a bunch of spots that I could go to and get to very easily.
Yeah.
So I got on a lease, which was on the other side of the street from the public land. So it's like public land on the right side, private land on the left. It's the same deer. They're like crossing back and forth. So I can be hunting where I live right now 5 minutes. I probably have 10,000 acres within a 10-minute drive of me.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiled.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you looking for in that? Let's say you have your 10,000 acres, and that's always the fun thing to ask someone. Is what do you look for? And it's just a totally different environment and habitat where you're at. But I'm sure access points are one main covet that you follow. But kind of what else are you thinking whenever you're looking at that as to where you're eventually going to settle? I know you got a kayak. I know so.
Yeah, so I hunt water a lot. I have found that the deer here in coastal Georgia they relate to water a lot. I think a lot of it is because it's so hot here that they require more water than maybe other parts of the country. And I've noticed that the waterways here tend to be pretty significant travel corridors. And a lot also outside of the creeks and the rivers, the land is very homogeneous. It's like all the same. It's like swamps, palmetto thickets, and oak flats. There's no terrain here to speak of, no hills, no ridges, none of that. So it's very difficult to find edge habitat except for right around the waterways. And, deer are creatures of the edge. They move at the edge of light. They live in the edge of thickets. They are creatures of the edge. So I tend to focus on edge habitat. And around here, that tends to have me hunting along creeks and rivers.
Yeah. That's the. It's the same here. They're not getting enough water from eating stuff. They got to go to a water source. So we often employ the same tactics. Find water, and you'll probably find animals. So.
Yep.
So one last thing, and we'll let you run for the night. We appreciate your time. What is the most unique kind of like saddle hunting story or way somebody's used a saddle that you've kind of come across in your time?
That's a tough one. It's kind of hard to get more unique than a dude that straps 4 or 5 saplings together and hunts from it.
That's true.
That was a pretty good one. You hear a lot of guys that you come across a lot of guys that go out and they jump into the saddle hunting game, and they all of a sudden, like you were kind of talking about earlier, all of a sudden every tree is now a possible ambush site. That's a pretty unique feature to saddle hunting. Whenever you can make almost any tree work for you, it really opens up your possibilities as far as hunting goes. So I think that's a pretty unique aspect of it, is the tree selection that it affords you.
Do you have like a favorite aider that you've kind of seen online that you might be employing, or are you just like going straight sticks?
No, I don't use sticks without aiders. I have Smurf legs. I'm tiny. I'm only 5'7". So if I carry 3 sticks, I can't space them out very far. So I can only hunt, 12, 15 feet off the ground max if I'm only using 3 sticks.
Mm-hmm.
And I just refuse to carry 4 or 5 sticks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I carry 3 sticks, and then I have aiders. Now, I've used every aider imaginable as well. I've used aiders that I attached to my feet permanently. I've had aiders that were tied to my hips. I've had big wall climbing aiders from the rock climbing world. I've made my own aiders. I've used single step aiders. I've used them all.
Yeah.
The one that I'm using this year, I actually am making custom. I'm not done with it yet, so I can't give out
too many details. Yeah.
Until I post. It's not going to be something that is for sale or anything. I'll just give it away for free, tell people how to make it. But I'm almost there. But it's going to be like the most expensive aider ever made.
Yeah.
So probably not many people will want it, but it's a. Are you guys familiar with Dave Toms? He lives in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, we're super familiar with Dave. Yeah, he's
okay. So he kind of popularized the idea of having one aider and then moving it up with you as you climb. So I'm going to take that from his playbook, and I've got a little method that I think is going to work really well with that style.
Yeah, I watched that video a couple days ago, and was like, man, what a genius idea,
Yeah, smart,
man, it's
really smart.
That's the thing I've discovered in the saddle world is there are so many. I mean, it's every world, but so many things that are in this world that I'm just like, wow, what a freaking unique way to come up with something, completely different and out of left field. That, wow, how did you even put that together? Like, what did you do?
Yeah.
How did you put those two things? Like, how did they even enter your mind? You're just going through your garage and like, wait a minute, I can take this broom
It
handle
happens.
and this shovel and
I can get 3 feet higher.
get 3 feet higher
Yeah.
per step. So
Saddle hunters tend to be those types of MacGyver type
Tinkerers, yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Tinkerers, yeah. Exactly. I don't know why, but it seems like a lot of the saddle hunting community is that way. They like to tinker, they like to play with gear, they like to engineer things and figure out ways to do it better, faster, stronger, lighter. I mean, that's what I am. I'm just a dude, and that's what Tethrd is, really. I mean, it was a bunch of dudes that wanted to make stuff better, faster, lighter, stronger, and we were just DIY guys, and it turned into like a real thing. So that the saddle hunting community is full of those type of people.
yeah. Well, we're super excited to be members of that community now. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
We can't wait, and obviously we'll keep you informed as our season unfolds and how we use our saddles and navigate the waters of the first season of saddle hunting for a couple guys like us.
And if my boss is listening, I've never been on saddlehunter.com at my desktop.
No.
Never.
Yeah, incognito browser, huh?
Well, Dave has been after me to come out and go hunting with him for a while now. I can't do it this year, but maybe next year we could do like a Texas or Oklahoma hunt.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oklahoma is just as close. Oklahoma's closer than Austin is, so you know we can get there just as quick. So
Yeah. Isaac likes it up there too. There's a reason we both go up there.
yeah, it's Oklahoma's great. I mean, it's not that great. You should probably just stay down around Sam Houston.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. If anyone else is listening
Yeah,
to this,
just go to Sam Houston.
stay
It's
in deep east.
Sam Houston and Lake Whitney. You should go there.
Yeah.
But man, Greg, we can't appreciate it enough. If somebody wanted to, if somebody is listening to this podcast has not heard about a saddle, then good job, because it's if you found this thing, you found saddles. So, but if somebody did want to get some information, how would they go about getting some more information on getting a saddle?
Yeah, if you want to learn more about saddle hunting in general, I would say jump on YouTube. There's a bunch of channels. We talked about several of them tonight. That's probably the best way to kind of wrap your head around it, is to jump on and have some visual aids to help you. So my channel is G2 Outdoors. Another good one is Garrett Paul, who is the DIY Sportsman. His is the DIY Sportsman channel. There's several other ones, Dave Toms, that we've talked about, that you can learn about saddle hunting. That's probably the best way to learn, is just to jump on YouTube. And if you're interested in you've already seen the videos and you've read the articles and you've listened to the podcast and you've figured out that you want to take the plunge, well, then I would recommend you jump over to Tethrd Nation at tethrdnation.com, and we're on all the social media. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and all that stuff. And so you can learn more about purchasing your saddle hunting equipment there.
Perfect. Well, we can't thank you enough for joining the podcast, and we'll definitely keep you in the loop and as things unfold for us over here. But thanks for joining the podcast, man.
Really appreciate
super appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm super pumped that you guys gave me the invite. It means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No doubt. Well, guys, thanks for listening, and we will subscribe to the podcast. Go to our YouTube channel. We've got videos that are coming out all the time now. We've got some scouting videos for ducks that are coming out. We have a duck hunt that is about to take place on Saturday, so that'll be dropping soon. And then obviously some saddle videos and some some deer scouting videos for the season, because we're 2 weeks away. It's here.
It's among us.
It's among us. So once again, if you fan of public lands and you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, come out to Tailwaters on September 14th at 4:30. We're going to be watching the Full Draw Film Tour and giving away a bunch of stuff. You can win a duck hunt with this crazy crew if you want. And we look forward to hopefully getting to shake your hand and meet you. So once again, Greg, thank you for joining us. Guys, thanks for listening, and y'all be good.
Peace.